Yes, that's Dr. Nitch. Thank you for your annotations, for your journaling. As someone who's working in healthcare right now, you can certainly provide a lot of really helpful examples. I think for your peers who are not in healthcare but want to go into it, right? In your dual role as a CNA and security gives you, a really robust portrait of what's happening to different people. And as you know things are different for different people. Um, with the summaries, try to keep response out of it. So the summary is just giving me the main and most important ideas, which you did a good job of, but you kind of wove within the paragraph itself what you thought about them. Save that for a separate paragraph, just because you may be coming back and grabbing some of the writing that you're doing here for papers that are coming up for the last two. In terms of the last two papers, just looking ahead and planting a seed for you, we are going to be exploring this week race and bias in healthcare, focusing on African Americans. Next week, it'll be gender, focusing on women or people who identify as women. And then the third week will be sexuality. So, if any of those readings you have experienced or borne witness to those biases, you're going to want to start noting that in your journals. That's because the final papers are going to ask you to focus on a particular bias, gender, racial, but also, as implicit bias suggests, there are lots of other biases. So, the implicit bias article can also be important if you would rather focus on not like racial bias, but on bias against people with mental health issues or bias against poor people, um, that's absolutely an option. So the implicit bias article of last week will be really important if you want to do one of these identities that's not tied to race, gender, or sexuality. So I'm just putting that out there. You don't have to do anything right now, but just so you're thinking as you're annotating and as you're journaling, you're thinking about which one of the biases feels the most important for you to explore in the future papers because you've experienced it, or you've borne witness to it while you were at work. Yeah, so think through that. Reach out to me though if you have any questions. Thanks, Vanessa.